I'm happy again. I'm singing and dancing in the rain.
The following video contains our personal opinion and an objective analysis of why this book is relevant and a good novel to read. The first thing that caught my attention was the way the protagonist, Alex, was treated by the government, just like a laboratory rat. But the real treat here is the way it is narrated, in a first-person personal point of view. In this way, we can appreciate in a more personal manner how a person will feel in that situation. By perceiving all of the characters' emotions and feelings, we can have a closer look of what is really important in this novel. How a person living in a repressive society appreciates the world and what he does to stay in it. This is why I believe this novel is worth the time reading and interpreting it.
The most interesting thing for me was how, in the novel, the life of Alex changes in three drastic ways. The first one is when Alex is totally a criminal and abuser of the human life. The second one is when Alex is caught by the police and imprisoned, and then he submits himself into the Ludovicos treatment, bringing him into the last one, which is where he becomes a victim and later on he changes. This thesis held by the author is a great argument for us to read the novel, because the way this change is portrayed is one of the most historical ways, just like Jesus.
The way Alex was pushed to kill himself via his conditioned state is the most shocking and interesting thing present in the novel, in my opinion. This image shows just how people living in a controlled and conditioned society are willing to sacrifice everything to prevent the suffer put by the government. Also, it portrays a great personification of how the population living in an authoritarian regime can be manipulated for it in order to acquire any goal. For me, by reading this novel, an image of the society living back then when the book was written is printed in the novel, and by this is a good book because it is still relevant up to date.
For me, the most impressive thing present in the novel is something like Javier just said. It is the way a human can change. In the novel, Alex changes not because of its treatment or jail. These are just some instruments or enhancers that make him do the definite step, changing because of own will. This statement is, for me, something crucial in the overall message the author tries to communicate. A human, in this case Alex, can only change if the given person wants to change, and not because of anything implied. The novel remains focused in this topic along all its length. It is a very good reason to read it because it is something that nowadays is still relevant in the minds of all the people in the world.
Finally, the thing that impresses me the most is the control of the government of the society, just like an authoritarian regime would do. The government controls the society principally in its behavior, and by doing this, the government assures itself its security as an organization. But this is making the society go down ways instead of up ways. The society doesn't improve in any camp, so they keep quiet and submissive. The one that is breaking the system is Alex, and his conditioned state he is treated in order to force him into the system. But this ends up in a bad way. He tried to kill himself. He then is liberated of this conditioned state by the own government because of their interest. This is really interesting because of the implications this can have in today's world, and that is why I recommend the book. For both of us, the most important theme touched by the novel is the control of the government against the society. This reflected directly in the Tuburico treatment and the way they manipulate Alex just at the end of the book, by retrieving the conditional state out of him for personal interests.
This control of the government also enhances the creation of some inconformity to the government. A clear example is Alexander F. He's part of a movement that is trying to overthrow the government as they used, just as the government itself, Alex as a political weapon, not making them better to the already bad system.
Our opinion goes towards the changes that a human being can have during all its life. Alex starts like a kid that hasn't matured at all, and that acts without previous thinking. As he heads along with the story, he starts to get a bunch of barriers and problems that make him in some way mature.
The way Alex changed wasn't because of all the resources applied on him. They clearly were important, but not the final step. Alex was the one that decided and changed for himself, meaning a real problem for this society he's living in. Maybe this is why the government and the opposition are so interested in him. All in all, we recommend this book because of two reasons.
The way the government has a direct impact on the society and how a person can change by itself.
This is still relevant in today's society and the way we think of people.
So, this is a great book because it touches two relevant subjects that remain today.